What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and today we're going to be talking about the canceled Modern Warfare 3 experience that we've been wondering about for a while, but now have the answers to. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, drop a like, and also as a reminder, there's plenty of brand new coverage going up over on dkdynamite.com for those out there like myself who prefer articles over videos, and plenty of tweets every single hour on Detonated's Twitter. Now, hopefully you guys don't mind. I'm a bit comfy here in my robe in the podcast room, as I want to take a bit of a trip down memory lane. So you guys are probably aware that as of a couple of years ago, during the prime Warzone days, we're talking 2020, when Verdansk was a fairly new experience, there were several rumors running rampant around the Call of Duty community in regards to Urzikstan eventually being a Battle Royale map. And it was speculated that this would eventually be another Warzone map that joined Verdansk in the map rotation at some point throughout Modern Warfare's life cycle, maybe even Black Ops Cold War's life cycle, but they never really amounted to anything. Although it would have made sense narratively, they never really turned into anything. But you guys are probably aware that throughout Modern Warfare 2's campaign, we do visit Las Almas quite a bit. In fact, we visit Las Almas more than we visit Almas, which is kind of weird since Almas is the Warzone 2.0 experience. It was the first Warzone 2 map, and it launched with Season 1 of Modern Warfare 2 last year, even though it probably would have made more sense if Las Almas was the map. We, of course, have plenty of areas of Las Almas used for 6v6 multiplayer, even ground war, but for some reason, Almas ended up being in the spotlight. So if you take a look at the actual physical map of Las Almas that you can find in campaign, that gave us a hint that maybe Las Almas would eventually be a Warzone experience, but it just never happened. Now, funny enough, though, shortly after the launch of Season 1 for Modern Warfare 2, leakers out there and data miners were still claiming that Las Almas would eventually be a Warzone experience, and even went as far as to leak the points of interest for that map, which eventually amounted into the points of interest we currently have in Urzikstan, which is crazy to think about. So, like I mentioned before, when Urzikstan initially got revealed, right, the TAC map for it, people out there compared that TAC map to the physical map you can find in Modern Warfare 2's campaign, and what do you know, it's an identical, nearly one-to-one type of map that makes it seem like at one point the Warzone map that was going to release with Modern Warfare 3's integration was going to be Las Almas, but for some reason got changed aesthetically into Urzikstan. The layout is fairly similar though, and what's really weird about that is that Las Almas, I think narratively, would have also made sense as a Warzone map to release this year if Modern Warfare 3's campaign was an actual sequel to Modern Warfare 2, but like I mentioned previously, each entry of the new Modern Warfare rebooted trilogy feels like a standalone experience, story-wise at least. They don't exactly feel connected the way that you would expect a trilogy to feel like, and that's odd and does make the MW trilogy a bit unique, but also makes it seem like we had different writers for each game. Now, Urzikstan is featured quite a bit throughout Modern Warfare 3's campaign, so yeah, it makes sense that this ended up being the Warzone map as a part of the MW3 integration, and we of course have several areas of Urzikstan that are used for war and even ground war, so that works. I'm sure they wouldn't have wanted to go ahead and just release more Las Almas sections in the launch window of Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer. That probably wouldn't have been received well, but a particular account over on Twitter did go ahead and share official concept art of what appears to be the Las Almas Warzone experience, which we never ended up seeing released, and this is really cool to take a look at. As you guys can see, it looks a lot more bright and colorful than Urzikstan does. You can clearly see similar looking points of interest that currently exist within Urzikstan, but are combined with the ground war and 6v6 maps that we already have within MW2 multiplayer. So I do think that whatever this Las Almas Warzone experience was a part of the original Year 2 plan that I think Infinity Ward had for Modern Warfare 2. Now what's cool is that one of the areas we could see in this concept art did actually end up coming out in Gunfight though towards the end of Modern Warfare 2's life cycle, but it's crazy to see that there is proof that Las Almas was going to be added to Warzone at some point, but like I mentioned before, this happens every now and again for Call of Duty. You have artists that maybe are under NDA and can't share official concept art they've worked on for certain pieces of content, and then eventually the NDAs expire and they're able to share a lot of their concept art on ArtStation or other news websites, and then from there we're able to piece together a lot of the pieces to the puzzle and understand exactly what they were working on, which may have never amounted to anything. But what's interesting about a lot of this concept art, as you guys will see for Las Almas, is that it mentions Infinity Ward and Beanox. Now, we know that Infinity Ward developed Almas. We know High Moon Studio developed Ashika Island, whereas Beanox was responsible for Vandal. I know that for sure since I went ahead and played Vandal early last year and talked to plenty of amazing Beanox devs who shared their experiences. But if Las Almas was going to be made by Beanox, has me wondering, right, how would that have affected Vandal? And then what did that mean for the future? future because Raven is responsible, at least to my understanding, for the development of Urzikstan, but it took a lot of inspiration from Binox Las Almas, clearly, right? So obviously with every new Warzone map, it's always a massive studio effort or a collective effort across many studios. So I'm never going to say that just one studio made one Warzone map. Typically there's like a lead studio and then a bunch of other studios under them to help out with that. But it's cool to know that Raven and Binox collaborated quite a bit for what is now Urzikstan following development of the original Las Almas plan. Now, although the title does mention that this was a Modern Warfare 3 experience, you guys are probably like, wait, this is actually for Warzone. What do you mean MW3? Well, I wanted to include this in the video because this is actually really important to understand. This actually would have created an identity crisis for Modern Warfare 3, bigger than the one that I think already exists now. If they would have released Las Almas as the big BR map with the MW3 integration, that would have just fueled the controversy even more. The Modern Warfare 3 is a quote-unquote $70 DLC. That would have definitely fueled more controversy if, let's say, we did get more ground war maps from Las Almas that aesthetically feel and look like the ground war maps we already had in Modern Warfare 2, or if we have a Warzone map that is just using areas we already played on during last year's Call of Duty. And it goes back to the narrative we discussed earlier. I think if the campaign would have been different narratively and would have followed up more on the Mexican cartels, then yeah, they probably would have went with Las Almas here for Warzone, but they figured, hey, since we're not even going that direction with the campaign, why go that direction with Warzone at all? And like I mentioned before too, if they would have went ahead and fed into the controversy and would have said, yeah, here's a $70 DLC, which could have easily just served as a big update to last year's experience, I think that would have really hurt the brand a lot more, hurt the name Modern Warfare and Call of Duty altogether. I also can't help but wonder if Las Almas would have been the Warzone map for the Modern Warfare 3 integration, how would this have affected zombies, right? Because zombies ended up utilizing the entirety of Urzikstan, and players out there got to experience Urzikstan as a big space before the experience was even available for Warzone Battle Royale. I mean, a good 3 weeks before Season 1 started, so I'm curious how that would have ended up, right? If we would have had a Zombify Las Almas for launch, then the BR version for Season 1, that would have been interesting, and again, could have even tied into the campaign a little bit more than what we see right now with zombies, because right now with the zombies lore, the events happening in Urzikstan are taking place before the events of Modern Warfare 2, so it's a little bit before MW3's campaign. So I'm curious if we got a zombified Las Almas, would that have taken place, you know, right before, during, or after MW3's campaign, much after Modern Warfare 19 and Modern Warfare 2? Just makes you wonder. Again, it's just fun to have a discussion about this, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this on the podcast later this week. So overall, even though it looks like there's more saturation, more color, even more life with the Las Almas Warzone map, I'm happy with the direction they went with Urzikstan, not just because that was a map that was rumored for years anyway, back during the old Warzone 1 days, but I would not have wanted to see an even bigger identity crisis with Modern Warfare 3 than the one that already exists. I think that really hurt momentum for the game, but the game itself at its core, MW3 and the new Warzone, is really strong. The content output is fantastic. Although we would like to see more in zombies, that's a different discussion for a different video. I think the game itself is doing a lot of things right, really improving on last year's experience. So I think as of now, things are good. If we can't ever see Las Almas as a Warzone map, I'm fine with that. But if you guys are really wondering, right, is it possible we ever get Las Almas in, let's say, a future Warzone integration or even in MW3's life cycle? I have to say I honestly doubt it unless they change the layout completely, somehow incorporating the existing areas we know of from Modern Warfare 2, like the ones from 6v6, Ground War, Gunfight, but then attaching those areas to other and new points of interest that we haven't seen, not the ones that we have in Urzikstan right now. I mean, that is plausible at some point. Then again, I think whatever game ends up following up on the Alejandro Valeria cartel story, that would be the game where this could work. But hey, it's totally possible that MW3 does follow up on that narrative during the post-launch window, right? Season 1 focused more on Nolan getting broken out of prison by Makarov. Something's cooking. We'll probably get something really juicy narrative-wise by Season 2 or Season 3. But maybe they're going to just, you know, wrap up all loose ends by the end of MW3's life cycle. So the MW4 or whatever game Infinity Ward works on for 2026 is almost a fresh start in a way that doesn't have to follow up on anything that got established last year or even this year. Now, although the ship might have sailed on what was going to be a beautiful map, Las Almas, we just got to remind ourselves that things like this happen all the time. Look at the Ural Mountains, for example, for Black Ops Cold War. That was going to be a part of a Blackout 2 experience before Activision knew that Warzone was going to blow up and be the definitive Battle Royale experience for Call of Duty. there's maps that look fantastic, sound fantastic, and even release in other forms, right? Ural Mountains got broken up into fire team regions that also got used for Outbreak, whereas Las Almas seems to have been broken up into certain regions for MW2 multiplayer, and then got kind of mashed together and formed into what is now Urzikstan with a different aesthetic, with different scenery. So things like this happen all the time in the gaming industry, especially Call of Duty. It's just cool to go ahead and appreciate, respect, and acknowledge the fact that some great men and women worked on some things that we're never going to see, but did exist, and I guess do support a lot of the weird rumors we see every once in a while, right? Sometimes you see rumors and you're like, yeah, take it with a grain of salt, or yeah, there's no real evidence behind that, just the word of mouth. But it's cool to see when rumors do come true, even if the content doesn't end up dropping. It's cool to just put an end to the arc of Las Almas, and we can finally have some closure to what happened with that experience. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on what is honestly a really cool reveal about Las Almas originally being a Warzone map? Do you think that that would have been better than what is currently Urzikstan? And what do you think the future may be for the Las Almas plotline with Valeria, Alejandro, the Mexican cartels? Will they follow up on that in Modern Warfare 3, or will it be in a future Call of Duty from Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.